Good morning, America. Breaking right now, President Trump has arrived in Paris. A high-stakes meeting with the French president in the middle of that firestorm over his son's emails about that meeting with a Russian lawyer. The president's now coming to Donald Trump Jr.'s defense.
Breaking news, a major break in the case of those 4 missing young men. What police discovered overnight on that Pennsylvania property, and what we're now learning about the person of interest back behind bars.
ABC News exclusive. The mother who feared for her child's life when they were stuck on a plane during a heat wave is now speaking out.
I thought I was going to lose my son.
She's now asking for changes in her first television interview only on GMA.
And America's top athletes taking center stage at the ESPYs overnight. Michelle Obama glowing. The Chicago Cubs getting a champagne celebration with Bill Murray. And the words teen Jarius Robertson says he lives by, inspiring so many.
Good morning, America. I just won an ESPYs.
Good morning, America. I just won an ESPY. Good morning, America.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
And good morning to our buddy Jarius. Yes. Good morning, America. As we come on the air right now, we're getting the first images of President Trump in Paris. There he is, coming off Air Force One with the First Lady.
Yeah, Melania visiting a children's hospital just a few hours ago, and the president set to meet with French President Emmanuel Macron on his 3rd international trip.
Yeah, and this is going to be a tricky one. The president is not popular in France. And remember that first handshake he had with the French president? There you see it right there.
Who could forget it? Who
could forget it? They held on. In fact, the French president said this was a moment of truth. He wanted to show he couldn't be bullied by President Trump, but he did invite him to Paris. And of course, the president trying to escape this controversy at home, but he will be taking questions at a press conference right around 12:25. We'll be covering it.
And we know you'll be on top of it. Certainly will be interesting. And back here at home, Senate Republicans preparing to unveil their new draft of the health care bill this morning. We're going to have much more on that in just a moment. But first, let's go to our senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, who is on the ground there in Paris with all the latest. Good morning, Cecilia.
Hey, Amy, good morning to you. The president expected to face very tough questions about Russia in that press conference that, as you said, happens in just a few hours. He is already speaking out on that topic overnight in an interview, calling the story about Russia the greatest con job in history. The president and first lady landing in Paris overnight, still facing more questions about Russia. President Trump coming to his son's defense in an interview with Reuters, saying he only learned of that Trump Tower meeting between Don Jr. and a Russian lawyer with ties to the Kremlin a couple of days ago. The president saying most of the phony politicians who are Democrats who I watched over the last couple of days, most of those phonies that act holier than thou, if the same thing happened to them, they would have taken that meeting in a heartbeat. And on those questions of his campaign's ties to Russia, the president said there was zero coordination. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. There's no coordination. This was a hoax. This was made up by the Democrats, calling it the greatest con job in history.
In retrospect, I probably would have done things a little differently.
Emails about that meeting show Don Jr. was told he would receive information that would incriminate Hillary Clinton. That material described as part of Russia's attempt to help the president. In those emails, Don Jr.'s response, if that's what you say, I love it. The White House defense?
The bottom line is what came out of this 20-minute brief meeting. Nothing helpful, nothing meaningful, nothing consequential.
On the Christian Broadcasting Network, the president also talking about his own Russian meeting, that face-to-face with Vladimir Putin.
Well, he wants what's good for Russia. Yeah. And I want what's good for the United States. I think we got along very well, and I think that's a good thing.
The question this morning, how well will he get along with Emmanuel Macron?
Congratulations, great job.
After their white-knuckle first handshake and the follow-up just last week in Germany, the new French president inviting President Trump to celebrate Bastille Day on the world stage. Short trip for President Trump. He's on the ground for just 28 hours. As for that press conference, both presidents getting 2 questions each from both the French press corps and the White House press corps. Amy.
And speaking of the French visit, Cecilia, we've been showing everyone there's a bit of an uncomfortable relationship between the French president and President Trump, and they're going to be spending a lot of time together.
A lot of time, a little bit of business and pleasure mixed together. Of course, that Bastille Day parade tomorrow. They are scheduled to have talks about Syria and counterterrorism. And tonight, both the presidents and their wives having dinner right here at the Eiffel Tower. Amy.
All right, we know you'll be there covering it. Thanks so much, Cecilia. George?
It's personal. They also have big policy differences over climate change and Russia. Let's talk about this more now with our chief White House correspondent, Jonathan Karl. And John, we saw those first interviews from President Trump yesterday. He's not only doubling down, he's kind of tripling down on this meeting his son Don Jr. has had, even though it is rocking the White House.
It absolutely is, George, but the president, it took him a while to get here. He was out of the public eye for days as the story broke, but he is fully defending his son. And when I asked about Jared Kushner, who of course was also on that email chain, also in that meeting, and the only official who was in the White House who was on that, when I asked the spokesperson here, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, yesterday, she was emphatic that he did nothing wrong. Those were her words.
Well, one thing we do know is that Jared Kushner had to change his disclosure forms to say to put those meetings in, even though they would have been left out of his initial disclosure forms. And that's leading to a lot of criticism from Democrats and others, some saying that Jared Kushner should lose his security clearance, some saying he should resign. And Jared Kushner does have enemies inside the White House.
Yeah, the focus initially, of course, has been on Don Jr. Those were his emails. He was the one that set up that meeting. But again, that meeting was Don Jr., not in the White House. Paul Manafort, long since gone, fired as campaign manager last summer. Jared Kushner is the one who is here. He was the one who was legally required to disclose meetings like that, including his other meetings with Russian officials like the Russian ambassador. So there is a sense in the White House that Jared Kushner is the one that faces the most legal jeopardy, if there is any here. And there is a reluctance, I have heard from many in the president's circle, a reluctance to fully defend Kushner. But again, as I said, you heard from the president's spokesperson, an emphatic, full-throated, he did nothing wrong.
Meantime, the president's nominee for the FBI director, Christopher Wray, was on Capitol Hill yesterday at his confirmation hearing. He was asked what someone should do if they were approached in a meeting by a Russian official. Here's what he had to say.
To the members of this committee, any threat or effort to interfere with our elections from any nation state or any non-state actor is the kind of thing the FBI would want to know.
All right, so I'll take that we should call you, and that's a great answer.
Not a lot of defense of that meeting on Capitol Hill, but Wray did do well. It looks like he's going to kind of glide to confirmation.
Democrats were very happy with him. He also, by the way, contradicted the president on the subject of James Comey, made it clear that he respects James Comey.
Okay, John Karl, I know you'll be joining me for our live coverage of President Trump's news conference. That's in Paris with the French president right around 12:25 Eastern here on ABC.
All right, George, and now to the battle over health care this morning. Senate Republicans are preparing to reveal a new version of their bill to repeal and replace Obamacare, trying to rally support after so many false starts. Our congressional correspondent Mary Bruce is on Capitol Hill with what we can expect. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Amy. Well, Senate Republicans are stuck, and it's unclear if this latest version of the health care bill is going to change that. The new version will be revealed later today and is expected to include an extra $45 billion to fight the opioid epidemic, keep an Obamacare tax on the wealthy, and could include an amendment that would allow insurers to offer cheaper pared-down plans. Now, what's not likely to change much are some of the most controversial aspects of this bill, including those deep cuts in Medicaid spending. And, Amy, already some of the holdouts have said these tweaks aren't going to cut it. And some Republicans I've talked with say they'd be surprised if this bill passes. But the pressure is mounting. Just take a listen to what the president said when asked what happens if they can't get this done.
I think it would be very bad. I will be very angry about it, and a lot of people will be very upset. But I'm sitting waiting for that bill to come to my desk. I hope that they do it. They've been promising it for years. They've been promising it ever since Obamacare, which has failed.
All right, and Mary, we know the Republicans are up against the clock. They're trying to get this done before their August break.
Yeah, Amy, Republicans are up against their own ticking timeline here. They've already delayed their August recess, buying 2 more weeks to deal with this legislative pileup. Republican leaders say they're hoping to move to a vote on health care next week, but right now it's hard to see if that vote could succeed. Amy.
All right, we'll have to wait and see. Thanks so much, Mary George.
Okay, we're going to move on now to those severe thunderstorms across the Midwest and Northeast. They're bringing dangerous winds, hail, flooding. Rob Marciano tracking it all. Good morning, Rob.
Good morning, George. We expect another active day today. The last 36 hours certainly been active across this frontal boundary from New England across New York, Ohio, back through the Midwest, including Chicago, where they're dealing with record flooding, and the rivers are still rising this morning.
Basement stairwells turned into raging rivers in Wisconsin. Picnic tables floating away in Chicago. This town in Indiana underwater. From Iowa to Wisconsin, as much as a foot of rain falling, triggering flash floods, making for dangerous driving conditions across the Midwest. In Mundelein, Illinois, water rescues required. In Lake Forest, this hospital forced to move 70 patients after they lost power.
The heck is that?
In North Chicago, 8 to 10 inches of water pouring into homes. A state of emergency declared in Burlington, Wisconsin. Residents there forced to evacuate. Thousands without electricity this morning. Severe rain also pounding the east. Boston receiving record rainfall. And in just 2 hours, parts of eastern New England got 4 inches of rain. And overnight last night, Albany, New York, seeing some rising rivers. 13 people rescued there. And here we go. Waves along this front will trigger some severe storms from Indianapolis to Cleveland to Columbus. Heavy rain with these, of course, over some saturated ground. And then tomorrow, getting into the areas of Philadelphia back through D.C. And behind this and underneath this, certainly some heat and humidity. Talk more about that in a few minutes. Amy?
All right, Rob, thanks so much. And now to those new developments in that tragic death of an American tourist in Greece. New surveillance video emerging showing the recent college graduate attacked by a group of men after a dispute at a bar. ABC's Gio Benitez is here with more on this story. Good morning, Gio.
Amy, good morning. Some reports in Greece say a dispute over a table started the fight. Others say it was over a waitress. But no matter what, a young man is dead this morning. And now we have the key evidence, a video. We should warn you, it is difficult to watch. Overnight, new surveillance video released showing the dramatic and disturbing fight that led to the death of American tourist Bakari Henderson. You see him right there running from a group of men outside a bar in Greece on Friday. Henderson being thrown onto a car, then falling to the ground, taking a beating by the group, kicking and punching him in the face. His friends say he was pummeled with brass knuckles. It all happened in less than 15 seconds. You can see a man and woman trying to stop the attack, and moments later, someone performing CPR. Another angle showing the moment that fight broke out inside the bar. Henderson later died from severe head injuries. The 22-year-old and recent University of Arizona grad from Austin, Texas, was on the island of Zakynthos visiting a friend and conducting a photo shoot for the clothing business he was about to launch. This morning, 9 have been charged with intentional homicide, including the bouncer, an employee of the bar, and 7 Serbian tourists. 5 of the suspects appearing in court Wednesday.
He was a big thinker. He loved big ideas, and he was going to do a lot of great things.
Family and friends devastated, preparing to lay Henderson to rest this weekend, telling ABC News in a statement, Bakari was an inspiration to all he met. He loved life and lived it to the fullest.
The right thing we need to do is just remember the really positive memories we've had with him. And I mean, obviously, everyone wants answers and wants people to pay for what they did.
And this morning, we know all of the suspects have pleaded not guilty. A lawyer for one of them saying their client never intended to kill anyone. The U.S. State Department tells us it is communicating with Greek authorities and, of course, offering condolences to the family.
So incredibly sad.
Unbelievable.
All right, Gio, thank you.
Yeah, we're going to move on to what could be a happier story, what could be a major breakthrough in the fight against cancer. An FDA panel has unanimously endorsed a new technique which uses a patient's own genes to battle the disease. Dr. Jen Ashton is here. And Jen, there is a lot of hope here.
Yeah, absolutely, George. This is personalized targeted therapy that basically genetically engineers part of a patient's blood cells, then re-administers them to that patient so they can target and destroy the malignant cells in kind of a Trojan horse type of method without hurting the healthy cells. It's generating a lot of excitement.
Yeah, and where it's been tried, it's shown some real positive effects.
Exactly. This is being studied in all types of cancer, but it really shows the most promise in the liquid cancers like the leukemia. We should mention, we don't know exactly how much this treatment would cost, but the estimates are very expensive, could be $300,000 a year. And of course, we have to look at short-term and long-term side effects.
And yeah, because there are some pretty severe side effects.
There can be. And listen, I think the take-home message for this particular therapy or any innovative genetic or immune therapy for anyone wanting to learn more about this, you should ask about select cancer centers because they're usually the few centers in the country giving it. And patients can go to clinicaltrials.gov. Every single clinical trial in the United States has to be listed on that site, so you can learn more there.
And almost certain the FDA is going to approve this.
It looks that way. We'll see.
Dr. Jen Ashton,
you
thanks very much.
All right, and overseas now, where Venus Williams is back on the court at Wimbledon and could make history at 37. She is the oldest woman to reach the semifinals since Martina Navratilova back in 1994. She is taking on British star Johanna Konta, who has home court advantage. So far, Williams has vanquished opponents, 18 years her junior, all while overcoming the emotions stemming from her involvement in that deadly car crash last month. She's been cleared of any wrongdoing, by the way. Meanwhile, a major upset in the men's competition. Sam Querrey, who was ranked 24th, beat top-ranked Andy Murray to become the first American to reach the men's semifinal since 2009. Querrey admits he was even in shock after the match, but a good shock.
Yeah, maybe he should stay in shock.
Exactly.
We're going to go now to last night's ESPYs. There, the Oscars of the sports world, honoring talented and inspiring athletes making a difference. Michelle Obama, last night's special guest. TJ Holmes on hand for all of it. Hey, TJ.
Good morning, George. From Michael Phelps to the Chicago Cubs. Of course, it was quite a year in sports, but some of the biggest applause last night was actually reserved for people who are not professional athletes. And then that was the moment that everybody's talking about when host Peyton Manning told a joke that one NBA superstar did not seem to appreciate. The former First Lady, award-winning actors, tiny heroes, even Snoop Dogg.
This finna be a breeze.
All there to help make the 25th annual ESPY Awards one of the biggest ever. The show's big winners, Simone Biles, NBA MVP Russell Westbrook, the Golden State Warriors, and a baseball team whose award was over a century in the making.
108 years of waiting is hardly a moment.
Bill Murray was on hand to present the Cubs with their trophy and enjoy one last champagne celebration. A standing ovation greeted the Jimmy V Award for Perseverance winner, Jarius J.J. Robertson.
Don't give up.
Don't ever give up.
These words by Jimmy V, I have been living by my entire life.
Now, you said this guy's an inspiration to you here?
He is the first to put other people before himself, and everything that he does with a smile on his face, even when he's going through some tough times.
Former First Lady Michelle Obama presented Eunice Kennedy Shriver posthumously with the Arthur Ashe Award for Courage.
I'm proud to be joined by these special Olympians who represent millions of athletes around the globe.
Freshly retired NFL legend Peyton Manning handled hosting duties, although his joke about Kevin Durant's move from Oklahoma City to Golden State seemed to fall flat, at least with Kevin Durant.
Our gymnastics team was so dominant that Kevin Durant told me he wants to play for them next year.
Manning told me backstage Katie's reaction was not part of the script.
He knows what a big fan I am of him.
But that wasn't staged. Y'all didn't discuss that beforehand.
No. A little zinger's probably good for him every now and then, right? Keeps you on your toes.
Of course, Kevin Durant had some fun with it on Twitter. He wasn't really upset, kind of playing it up. And guys, something you did not see in that celebration on stage with Bill Murray, he came backstage to talk to me. He had blood running down his hand. He had cut himself during that celebration. He didn't need to go to a hospital, but still, he said, this is the Cubs. We've been waiting a long time, and I believe for this.
From opening the champagne bottle?
Yes, he was out there throwing that knife around and absolutely slashed his hand, and he was bleeding pretty good backstage, guys.
Okay. Hope he's all right. Yeah. It was worth it, though, the celebration. All right, thanks, TJ. We're going to check back in with you a little bit later, but let's also now check in with Rob with more on that dangerous heat in the Northeast. It was hot outside this morning.
Yeah, it's going to be hot again today. We have heat advisories across the heartland and across parts of the east with temperatures that are going to feel, well, up and over 100 degrees in some spots, even a heat warning for Philadelphia. So you couple the heat with the humidity, and what it feels like outside is 107 today in Richmond, 101 in Philly, and 102 in Washington. Speaking of, your heat index right now is brought to you by Sprint.
Hi, I'm Paul. People ask why I switched to Sprint. Well, their network reliability is within 1% of the big guys, and they have the best price for unlimited among national carriers. And wait, are you watching this on the awesome iPhone 7? You gotta get iPhone 7 from Sprint, and they'll give you a second one on them. What are you doing? Go switch to Sprint.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know, but I'd better go to Sprint.
Wait.
2 iPhone 7s! Love you!
Get Sprint Unlimited. And now, get iPhone 7 and get a second iPhone 7 on us.
Potential for heat-related illnesses today, so take it easy. Get all your errands, outdoor work done early part of the day if you can. We're already seeing heat index values over 90 degrees. Triple-digit readings expected for several hours this afternoon. That heat advisory continues until 8 p.m. this evening. You can see the values here, 98 to 106 heat index readings for this afternoon. We're a little cooler tomorrow from 98 to 95, but with a bigger storm threat through the area.
Teet, if I could be your mother, drink lots of water and grab lots of shade and give those folks working on the roads a bit of a break today.
Thank you, Rob.
All good advice, Rob. Coming up here, a major break overnight in the case of those 4 missing men in Pennsylvania. We'll tell you what authorities discovered, and the person of interest arrested again.
And then why there is a heated court battle over these wild selfies.
Fitting into my skinny jeans again? That's cool. Feeling good and slim